Hi, welcome. My name is Dale McCluskey, and on this video series, I'm going to be helping the average dog owner navigate through the confusion, associated with the dog training process. I'm going to answer a lot of questions as I go through this series and help people understand. Again, I talk about a interaction-based approach, why that matters at the very beginning in terms of reconciling your role, in terms of the relationship with your dog. Dogs as social animals, as pack animals. Now, understanding too, again, I talk about what's popular. I talk about this idea that training's a learning-based exercise, and why that leads to so many problems for so many people. But again, we're doing this series in a way that's going to be very informative. I'm going to be going through step by step through everything, and this is meant to be interactive, engaging. So in that theme, I'd encourage you, if you have questions or comments, is to leave them on these videos. And in fact, my goal is to answer as many questions as possible as I go through. So this is going to be a multi-part series. I'm going to keep these videos within a certain time length, focusing on, again, various topics as I go through. And I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel as I go through. So I'm going to make these videos in a very kind of a transparent way that's not meant to be overly complicated, very simple for the average dog owner. That's going to be my focus, to understand right at the beginning why it matters, when it comes to understanding your role. But again, in terms of the jumping in point, jumping right into a relationship problem, because I understand that's what you have to start to identify when you start to see behavioral issues happening. It represents a relationship problem. It's ongoing. You're already experiencing perhaps housebreaking issues, all sorts of different behavioral problems, say jumping, excessive barking. You go through all of them right up to a point of aggression. So again, this is what really even sets this system of training apart. What makes it really special is being able to reconcile, resolve even very difficult and extreme behavioral problems. And again, I encourage you to keep that in your hip pocket as you go through, because again, this is all understanding at the very beginning, where it begins. So it's a starting point, which is absolutely critical when it comes to understanding a process, a process related to training. Again, so when you talk about training, understand, you talk about training, so much of that leans towards this idea that training's a learning-based exercise, which is extremely problematic for so many dog owners, based on the focus all shifting towards simply getting dogs to respond at the beginning, the way that they're doing it, the way so many are doing it, absent, influence, which I'm going to talk about. I talk about an interaction-based approach, why influence is absolutely critical. It's a key ingredient when it comes to changing perceptions of dogs. And so when I talk about influence, again, I'm going to line this up with the parenting example, which is extremely helpful. So if you're a parent, this will make sense as I go through this and talk through this, because it lines up almost, I understand, it lines up almost exactly. It's incredible. But dogs are amazing at the same time. Understand that, the system of training, I talk about my own journey, and, years ago, even in terms of, being a police canine handler, and with Ruben, and in the background, Ruben is straight up, me and Ruben are right up top there, and I'm very younger, I'm like 23 years old there with Ruben. And, that's where it all began for me, was, again, getting to a certain level in terms of, a relationship, and then, ask the question, okay, how did we get here? It's like, we got here, but, being able to kind of audit and ask serious questions. What is it about? Is it about devices a certain way? Is it about treats? Is it, what is it? There's clearly, there's depth here, I understand. So I talk about depth of relationship. There's depth here, but how do we actually get there? And being able to ask those questions at the very beginning. That's what the system of training is built on. Asking those questions, applying critical thinking. And I believe so much is lost here, because critical thinking is absolutely necessary, critical, when it comes to understanding a process. You know, all these questions out there, so much confusion in the dog training world as to, okay, you know, who's right, who's wrong. Again, this is where, again, as I go through this, I'm going to be talking about, you know, absolutely critical subjects, such as even, you know, talk about balance training, you know, force-free training. What do those things represent? You know, how do they tie in? Looking at, you know, how I train. Okay, I talk about an interaction-based approach, reconciling your role in that, just like being a parent, but the role of influence. And again, think about parental influence. How is that established? But how is that, within part of that dynamic, how does that change, you know, the perceptions of, say, a child? And think about all the different dynamics in that, the themes, you know, being, you know, interacting with, being dialed in. You know, have that moment, epiphany moment, where you say, okay, you know, I have a relationship, there's a relationship problem happening right now. But, you know, even, you know, looking at your role in that, say, your parenting style. But again, something tangible, okay, I talk about something you can take a hold of. I'm going to talk about that as well in terms of actually, you know, getting the right information, even in terms of as your perceptions of your dog change. Diminishment, okay, of unwanted behavioral issues, okay, being able to identify and be able to say, okay, I can see that, versus, you know, dogs moving around doing the sit down, come and stay, which is the entire focus of the dog training world. And just assuming, okay, that that's representative of some sort of a standard that change is happening. But the question is, well, is it really? You know, but think about the parent example, you know, putting the whole focus on to, you know, good actions, say a child making their bed or picking up their toys. But is that really what it's all about? Is that what you should just totally focus on? Or is it about connecting dots the right way in terms of, say, the parent, the child, beyond just the responses, but in terms of interacting with, getting those same themes? Do those matter? And the answer is absolutely. So I'm going to be going through a series here of videos, and again, I encourage you to leave comments or questions, because it's meant to be kind of, you know, kind of interactive, because I'm wanting to focus on the average dog owner who's looking for information, going out on social media saying, okay, what's the solution here? What path should I take? You know, is it training really a learning-based exercise? Is it force-free? What's balance training? You know, but again, understanding, I talk about interaction-based approach that represents a predictable outcome. Okay, knowing you can truly trust the information, you can count on it. You can say, okay, I can trust the information I'm getting. But what does that really mean? So I'm going to be going through everything. I'm going to be going through the methodology. I'm going to be talking about certain things that should be very helpful to understand this system, but also for the average dog owner who's looking for information. So again, I encourage you to, again, even check out my website. Lots of great, you know, information there. A lot of my videos right now on my YouTube channel I've made available for free. So you can go check those out. Go right back to the beginning. You know, go back years ago. You'll see I'm saying the same thing all throughout, because it started, my journey started with asking those questions, saying, okay, what is it? You know, let the chips fall where they may. But the truth is the truth, and versus, you know, aligning with, say, identifying a certain way, and what does that even mean? I'm going to talk through all that as well, because it really is. It's about, as an average dog owner, you know, how do I follow a path that's going to lead to, you know, a better relationship with my dog. That's what really comes down to, versus, you know, aligning a certain way and then, you know, blame shifting and all these different things that are happening right now. It's all part of it. So again, it's all about, again, understanding your role in it, and, you know, following a method, a process that's going to be predictable, and you're going to be able to rely on, you're going to be able to trust. That's what it's really about. So again, I'm going to be going through various series. I'm going to keep them around the 10-minute mark here as I go through various topics, but my plan is to put out lots of great information as I go through this series of videos to help the average dog owner navigate through the confusion of the dog training world. Thanks for watching.